project announcement for this first quarter, and that was in McGregor with Messer.
All right, if there's no questions, is there a motion to approve the chamber report for recording purposes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? Other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, we can go back up to item F, budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
FY22 budget amendments, starting with F1A.
Is there a motion to approve F1D through F1I?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1 is authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding bid 22-004, aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G1A?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right.
All right, item G1B regarding bid 22-005, asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
Not what's the pleasure, of court.
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. This is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
Going to D on the proclamations resolutions, we have nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right, Dustin.
Yes, sir. Judge, if we could go to item N1, this is discussion and or action on matters regarding COVID-19.
These case numbers have decreased for the hospitals.
All right, Judge, do you want to accept that for recording purposes?
Yes. Is there a motion to accept that report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, if we could go to item N10, presentation from Texas State Technical College regarding Central Texas Industrial Training Center.
There's a mismatch between the number of jobs that are available and the number of people that are available to fill those positions.
Move to accept for recording purposes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
All right, if we could go to item N6, that's the Greater Waco Chamber of Commerce Monthly Economic Development Report for January 2022.
Know that we have had one project announcement for this first quarter, and that was in McGregor with Messer.
All right, if there's no questions, is there a motion to approve the chamber report for recording purposes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? Other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, we can go back up to item F, budget and budget amendments. F1's regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
FY22 budget amendments, starting with F1A.
Is there a motion to approve F1D through F1I?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs, G1 is authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding bid 22-004, aggregate surface treatment for delivery and pickup.
All right, what's the pleasure on items G1A?
Motion to approve the purchasing director's recommendations on the bids.
Second.
We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. All right.
All right, item G1B regarding bid 22-005, asphalt emulsions for delivery and pickup.
Not what's the pleasure, of course.
Move to approve the recommendation of the purchasing director.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. I'd like to go to item L1. We have Shane Turner and Fiona Bond here. This is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund American Rescue Plan Act discussion or action regarding the eligible expenses and our funding guidelines, reporting requirements, and funding request.
So I'm Fiona Bond, Executive Director of Creative Waco, and of course this is Shane Turner, owner and operator of the Hippodrome.
All right, so we will recess until 1 o'clock tomorrow. So it's 11. All right, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 25th, 2022 at 3:10 p.m.
Thank you. And if anyone has a public comment, they can come forward now from the audience. Yes, sir.
My name is Shannon Caraway. I'm Vice President for Business Development for a company called Solar Prime. Currently, we're trying to develop another 300 megawatt solar farm and 300 megawatt battery energy storage project here in McLennan County. And it's out north of Trading House Creek Reservoir, that area there. We're preparing to submit a proposal to this body soon for a county tax abatement for the project, and just wanted to stop by ahead of time, introduce ourselves, and tell you what we're doing.
Going to D on the proclamations resolutions. We have nothing this week. Under E, under consent agenda, I have no recommended pulls. Does anyone else have a pull from the consent agenda they want to discuss? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, let's call court to order.
Recording in progress.
Today is Tuesday, April the 19th, 2022. It's 9:04 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, April 14th, 2022 at 4 p.m.
Thank you. All right, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have a pledge to the flags.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas Pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, is available for open comments. What I'd ask is, if, keep your comments under 3 minutes or under. And if you have someone that's a spokesperson for your group, that would be great. If that person is, or others want to speak, please don't repeat what someone said right before you, word for word. In other words, have a different idea or those kind of things. But again, we want to welcome you for coming. So if you would, you need to come up and introduce yourself to this microphone sitting here. Give us your address. This is a recorded session, so we keep all this for archives. And so you may come forward at this time.
My name is Dan Dillon. My address is 621 North 29th Street, Waco, Texas. As we've discussed, we came thinking you guys were going to vote on the tax rate today. I would just hope that you guys keep this in mind when you do vote. And there's a lot of people that wanted to be here today that couldn't be here. And as our property value is going to continue to increase, as they have my property, and I come down and fight and go to the R board and have been lucky and been pretty successful. But even with me fighting, my rate has gone up over 60% in the last couple of years.
Your rate or value?
My value, I'm sorry, my value. And so as these values continue to increase, the only relief is going to be for the rate to decrease. The bottom line is the amount of money that you get, if you keep the rate the same or you keep increasing it, then the amount of money you get is going to be more. When you don't need it, if it's the property value increases, then you should be able to afford to drop the rate, not even keep it the same, and certainly not increase it. And we know that you're only one aspect of this, and we plan on going to the schools, because I know that they're around 50% or so, and address that, but we got to start somewhere, and this is where we've decided to start. So we hope that you guys really take all these stories that people have. When I go to the ARB meetings and there's people out in the lobbies waiting, I think there's 15,000 people that you alluded to earlier that protested last year. And I can assure you there's a whole lot more than that if they knew how. There's a lot of people in this room that whenever they're online, they want to know how and who and when. And then there's just some people that just don't have the courage to do it. There's just some people that they just keep taking it, and they just keep taking it. And so I hope you guys will just keep that in mind when you go to set the rates this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
My name is Janine Woodward. I live at 530 Mountain Lake Drive in Woodway. And of course, you know, many of us are here because we again received our proposed property tax notices, are wondering how we're going to pay another exponential increase. I understand the tax rate is only one facet of the issue, and the school districts, appraisal districts, comptroller's office are all complicit. I also know it's been reduced in the past 2 years, but it's not been reduced nearly enough. According to an article by Rocket Mortgage last month, Texas is the 7th highest state in terms of property tax. Many McLennan County citizens are paying exorbitant property taxes on homes that are not worth what they're appraised for, particularly elderly citizens on a fixed income who do not have the resources or quite possibly the faculties to know how to protest them. We lose a large chunk of our income to taxes and inflation, currently at 8.5% and rising. We're forced to pay so many taxes on less and less income. There's income tax, property, payroll, excise, sales, capital gains, gift, retirement, tariffs, tolls, cable and phone, hotel, alternative minimum, inheritance, license fees on hunting, fishing, marriage, pets, among many others. My income is not increased to cover these extra inflationary expenses, and this is the case with most of the people I know. It takes 2 months of work for me to earn enough to pay my property taxes. It just seems to me that a deed is no longer a binding document of unencumbered ownership. It's become a record of the lifelong pact and liability to fund the forever increasing budgets and debt levied upon the community. The taxpayers are required to fund every dream, wish, need, and desire of those entities funded through the county appraisal district system. The funded branches and budgets of the appraisal district office prosper solely from the profitability, labor, and mercies of the citizen they are to serve, guide, and protect. This feels like bondage, pure and simple. As you consider what tax rate to set for this year, please keep in mind the immense financial burden these taxes incur on the citizens that you represent, because this has become a crisis, and we the people are taxed out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well said.
Hello, my name is John Fowler. I live on 1609 Fannin Street, Belmead. The problem I'm having, and probably a lot of people in that area, we live in poverty. My wife she gets $640 from Social Security. I make about $50,000 a year. And every year, property taxes go up, everything else goes up. On top of this, we both are diabetics, spend a lot of money on the doctors and medicine. We cannot afford. What's going to happen? To me, this is extortion. What's going to happen to us in a few years if we cannot pay the taxes? We're going to kick out. All our life we worked for something to have. But it looks like everybody else that we elected to work for us, for the people, are against us. I guess people forget where they come from. We have to think about this. It's not just, raise the taxes. For who? Because nobody else, lower class people benefit from it. It doesn't look like that way. You guys need to think about it, please. Think about all the people, not just for me, my family, everybody else. Take a trip to Belmead to see what's going on. Because I know you can put foot in the door and say, okay, this is it. You guys have to do something. Because it looks like the Belmead Council, it's a dynasty. There's nothing else. Think about it before we think about raising taxes. Think about the people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Ruth Southworth. I'm not looking for a pity party, but I'm going to tell you my situation. I live at 4120 Sanger Avenue. I bought the home as a HUD home, as I mentioned, for $47,000, and yes, I did renovate it. It's now worth, according to you all, $150,000, and went up $50,000 just from last year, and I haven't done anything. I have a special needs son. He's 30, turned 30 yesterday. I'm got lots of medical issues. My insulin alone costs almost $500 a month for 2 different types of needles. I'm on a fixed income. I don't have this money. The Atmos bill, everybody knows that sucker went up. Who knows why? Well, I know why. But anyways, I just need some help. I need you guys to be conscious that I got a 1.2% increase. I'm a civil servant retiree. I don't have the money to be making these type of changes. My mortgage went up $75 a month just to cover the extra escrow. I just got the notice yesterday. Where's that money coming from? I mean, my son can't work. Like I said, he's autistic. He depends solely on me. His dad died when he was a year old. I mean, this is it. I'm doing my best, and this is making me sick because I don't want to move. I don't want to move. Tomorrow I go in for a bone marrow biopsy. I don't want to move. I'm not getting any healthier. So I need you to be aware that you're affecting people's lives out here. Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Caney. I live at 9507 Casa Grande Drive in Woodway. I just wanted to figure out how all of these new buildings, all of these new hotels, restaurants, all this revenue, it used to just be a piece of concrete or dirt, but now you're actually able to reap the benefits of the taxes that they pay. So can you not raise theirs? I mean, do we all go together? We're all raised together? The rich, the poor, we all go? Or you know, in the streets, Bosque Boulevard, prime example, chug holes everywhere. And don't y'all put money towards the streets in Waco? No, you don't do the streets, you don't do the bridges. What do you do?
First of all, one thing when I was kind of saying what we could do and what we couldn't do in this discussion is one, we can't respond back. I will say in a general term though, that each taxing entity has their own assets, like their streets and those things that they to deal with, and that's where your property tax specifically goes for that. Ours are more the rural areas and.
Rural areas.
And, yes, and your jail and your.
And the jail, I keep hearing about the jail, the jail, the jail. Are we supposed to be paying a lot more money because we have more bad people?
Unfortunately.
Is that what it is? I mean, basically, is that what you're saying to us?
Yes, ma'am.
That the majority of your stuff goes to the jail?
Not, like I say, I can't, I'm sitting here saying, I'm not supposed to be debating this with you, but
I'd be glad to visit with you. I'm your commissioner, so I'd love to answer any question you have or do the best I can to answer it.
Okay, so you're the one.
Yes, ma'am. So you feel free to. But listen, we all need to be able to understand one another. We
Yes.
truly do.
Yeah.
And you guys need to know what we can do and what we can't, and we need to hear you
Because we
out.
elected you.
I'm 100% with you.
But there's no transparency. So we come here to try to get some answers, but you're just here to hear us for 3 minutes and then we gotta go, you know? That's it. We don't have any feedback. You know, give us the dollar. We wanna know how much you're spending where. Line item by line item. Is that not available to
Yes,
us?
yes, it is.
it's available to the public, it's online. We ask
It's
that you go,
online, okay.
Look-
Where is the line? What do we type in the computer to find
What if you
it?
don't have a computer?
We'll get you one, you know?
Very good. Where's the website?
Clinic.
Okay,
McLennan County.
And it'll pull up a full webpage.
Full, and then where do we go?
The auditor has they have a link on it, and it's under her link.
Yeah, budget office.
all right, thank you.
What was the link? I don't know, thank you. I'll send it to you. Perfect. Thank you.
My name is Diana Pallich, and I live at 808 Forest Oaks Circle in Woodway. And what I'd like to say is all these people, it's too bad that they all can't stand up and share the dollar amount of their increase on their home.
96,000.
Okay.
110,000. All right. Come on, keep on going.
That all is a windfall for each taxing entity. So a decrease is not good enough. A significant decrease for each entity is good enough. Decrease, significant, because this is all a windfall. This room right here represents a huge amount of money. Imagine the people that couldn't show up today, how much money that represents. Imagine all of the people out there. These stories are horrible. I'm sitting there fighting back the tears. I have sick children too. I cannot imagine. I mean, it's heartbreaking. And people sit behind desks making decisions like it's no friggin' big deal. I have on my phone a picture of the man that works at MCAD who's responsible for the appraisals of the people in McLennan County. His house went up $30,000. How many of your houses went up $30,000?
No, 96,000 a year.
Exactly. There needs to be transparency. We all need to know how much all your houses went up. MCAD's went up. This is terrible what these people are going through. It's heartbreaking. It's time that people who serve us serve us.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mike. I live at 921 North 44th Street.
What's your name?
My name's Rebecca Sheffield.
All right, good morning.
Okay, good morning. And I have fought y'all every year since 2012 on taxes. 1 year it went up 86,000. Last year y'all decided not to do anything. I'm like, oh, really? I have sent you pictures. I am sick. My husband's sick. We live on one income. How do you expect me to pay taxes in the amount of $17,000 on my property that is falling apart that I can't pay to get fixed up? So would I ask for help? What do I get? Nothing. But you continue to raise them up. Thank you, Chip and Joanna Gaines.
It's not their fault.
Oh, don't even go there. I know a lot more about them than you know. But this is wrong. I have a small home. My windows are falling out. My foundation's swinging. Yet you raised my taxes $96,000. Hello? So if you're gonna, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come back in here. I'm gonna bring my appraisal to you.
If y'all could, please, out of respect for the lady speaking, be quiet.
I'm gonna come back in here with your appraisal. You're gonna write me a check for that amount, and I'm gonna leave. You're gonna write me a check for what my house is appraised for, and then we will move my husband, who is disabled, as I am, and we're gonna move it out of that house. And then when I called the other day and I talked to the appraisal district, and they said, your property's only valued at $20,000. I said, well, what if I bulldoze it? How much money is this county gonna take with me bulldozing the house? Because it's only gonna cost me $32,000. I thought, I'll borrow the money from my brother to bulldoze the house and bulldoze the house. And then let you guys take the property then. Then how much money are you gonna make? How much money are you gonna make? Do you know there's 3 more people that I talked to in my neighborhood that are willing to do the same thing? They're willing to give up a home that they were raised in for 70 years. 70 years. Really? I have to turn off my phone, but you don't.
That was a timer, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
My name is Nathan Belcher. I stay at 6504 Tejas Drive in the Sendero Springs subdivision. But me and my wife, we just bought our first home in like 6 years ago for $189,000, and now it's being appraised for like over $250,000. And I mean, you know, we're trying to enjoy the American dream, be homeowners, have something to leave to our children. And I'm here, you know, just looking around. Of course, I represent a small percentage of the community, but it's many young black citizens in Waco that's trying to grasp their dream, and it's really hard on them when you buy a house for one amount, and less than 10 years later, it's almost triple, almost double. And it's just, I came here to be supportive. We got it on the Nextdoor app. A lot of community wanted us to come and speak up. And so I think I do injustice just sitting in my seat. So I want to stand up and say how it's impacting us and stand and represent my portion of the community. But we do have, not everybody wants to experience what's going on in East Waco right now. I came up in East Waco as a child. Right now it's being what we call gentrification. People are being pushed out. Properties are being, people are losing their properties due to high taxes and being placed in places that they don't want to be, which affects the crime rates in the community. And, it's kind of like we creating a problem, pushing people in these other areas, and the crime goes up, and then we have to pay taxes for the jailhouses. And so it's kind of like, let's look at the original problem and focus on that. But with the success of Baylor, Chip and Joanne, there's so many positive things going on in this city that I think we can look for other means instead of raping people for their tax money.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone else?
All right, a military man. All right.
My name is Jesse Hornback. I live at 1116 Naughty Oaks Drive in Woodway. As you can see, I'm military. Got here in July of 2020. Been in the Air Force for almost 18 years now.
Thank you for your service.
So I have 4 boys also, and they're ages 15, 14, 11, and 10. So if anybody who has teenage boys knows they eat a lot. So with the cost of food going up, you've heard people say, everything's going up, inflation. And my current mortgage payment, over a third of that is property taxes right now. And my assessment that I just got recently tried to raise my assessment by, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was around 125,000. And I already protested it online, got a counter offer, and they said, okay, instead of 125,000, we'll just raise it 110, which is kind of insulting.
Bend over.
With these aren't. I didn't come prepared. Sorry, I'm just shooting from the hip here.
That's all right.
You've heard people say, these aren't just a few sob stories in here that we've cherry picked. We're representing a lot of people that are upset about this, and they couldn't be here, like they said, they couldn't be here today because they're working to earn money to pay their property taxes. But I think there's a general sentiment that the American people are fed up with having to tighten their belts and trim the fat from their budgets while governments just keep increasing theirs, whether it's local or state or federal level. And we want to see the government actually trim some fat and let us keep more of our money. I think property taxes should just be abolished, because as long as property taxes exist, you don't really own your property or your house. You can pay off your house, but you're still going to pay property taxes, which means you're just paying rent to the government. And you may not agree, that's fine. I think, in lieu of abolishing property taxes, we can at least reduce them, which is, I think everyone would agree with that. Everyone who's here behind me would agree with that we at least need to not let them get more, because people, like they said, they can't afford it. They're already fighting inflation and increased costs everywhere. So if we can keep them from increasing and reduce them significantly, I think that would make everybody happy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Shelley Curry, 910 Woodgate Circle East. And I honestly don't feel like I'm addressing you guys, because I think the people in this room, no one trusts our government anymore, okay?
That's right.
How convenient do we have a meeting at 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning? I'm sure that's by design, so most people can't be here. Why didn't you have it at 5:30 or 6 o'clock on a weeknight? I think you would have had to fill a stadium. I have never heard so many people with tax rates going out of control. We talked about, well, what about all the new buildings? I wish I could find out how much tax breaks the people are building, developers who are building these buildings are actually getting to bring their developments here. Very often, they get tax breaks. Oh, we'll let you build this building here, just come to Waco, and you won't have to pay any taxes for 10 years. Is that going on? You can't answer that, can you? How do we find out what's really going on? And how do we, it's our job to get these folks a new job.
That's right.
I'm not talking to you guys because you're not gonna do anything except keep driving this up, and you're driving the residents who built Waco the hell out. And let's let all the rich Californians come in now and take over like they're doing in Austin, Texas. Go for it and line your pockets while you're at it, because we don't see this money going to any use. Where's it going? We never know.
Okay, thank you. I will say this, when the tax rates, whenever the tax rate will be set, there'll be public hearings. It'll be at times, at different times, so people working can come in after work hours or during. There'll be several options there to do that. Yes, sir. Introduce
Morning,
yourself.
my name is Ken Willits. I live at 4324 Shady Glen Drive. You guys might not like what I'm about to say. How many of you have been to any of these meetings before? How often do you guys get a room full? Okay, so we are the people that vote them in. We are the people that can come here and watch what they do. But do we? No, we stay home. How many times do we come to these meetings? How many times do you guys see a room full of people? How many times do we go to city council meetings? How many times do you go to the school district meetings? We don't. I have a piece of paper. You give me your phone numbers and let's start communicating. When's the next city council meeting? When's the next school district in Waco, in Woodway? Let's do something about this. Let's take all of these people and anybody else who can. These poor guys are getting the brunt of all this. They just happen to be the first ones on the list.
We trust them when they were elected.
I understand.
We don't have to control them.
Understand, but have we watched them? Have we asked them questions about the roads? Have we asked that kind of thing? All I'm saying is that if
We should not have to ask. They have to do their job they were elected for.
But if they don't,
That's
then it's
how
our
we-
job. It's our job to get them out of order. Okay, so all I'm saying is let's go to all these other different entities and voice exactly what we're saying here today. Now, if we don't want to do that, then we're stuck with the bill. If you want to put your phone number here, I'll call you. I'll let you know the next city council meeting, the next school district meeting. If you want, then don't complain.
I went to the council meeting, they didn't do nothing.
Okay. That's all I'm saying. But we can't take it out on these people because they're just a small part of it.
But I did ask him to do his job.
Let's go to the other one.
We can't hear when everybody.
Okay, you guys are doing what you gotta do. I apologize that you guys are getting the brunt end of this, but let's see if we can take it.
That's all right. That's what we're here for. So,
If you wanna sign it, yes.
and I've got a question. How many here have access to our website?
I'm sorry?
How many here have access to our website? A lot of the questions that are brought up would be answered by actually reviewing that, and then each entity has their own website. The other thing is, how many here take a subscription to the Waco Tribune Herald?
Why would we? Why would we?
Okay.
Why?
Okay. I understand. Hold on just a minute. So the reason I ask that is you need to find a good source of information when you ask.
That's right.
When you talk about transparency, you know, transparency is on us. We've got to get it out there by law.
Yeah, there's a
So,
next door
ma'am, if you will wait, I'm trying to make a point. If you will do your job in looking at the different accesses for information, then we'll both be on the same page. But we welcome you here anytime, and whenever we set the tax rate, there'll be notices sent out, and organizing is a great way to do it, and have a good speaker to come and speak your point. I guess my time's up. And we want to hear from you. That's what and then each seat here represents a precinct of the county. There's 4 precincts.
Could you introduce them, because I don't know who's mine.
All right, I want to ask y'all to introduce yourself and which precinct, and kind of tell about what communities are in your precinct.
Okay. My name's Jim Smith. I represent Precinct 1. Precinct 1 encompasses, it goes into Baylor University, down the river, all the way to Falls County, picks up all the small communities along that line, swings over into Robinson, Lorena, Bruceville, Eddy, goes over to Moody, goes up close to McGregor on 317, comes down Spring Valley Road, goes into the Beverly Hills area of Waco also, and a little bit down Austin Avenue and a part of, I'd say you might be familiar with Castle Heights area. So it's a large geographic area.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Chisholm Miller, and I am the County Commissioner for Precinct 2, and I represent Eastern Rural McLennan County. So, and I'm gonna take you from the rural and bring you into the city of Waco. I have Mart, Axtell, part of Elk, Riesel, and Hallsburg. And then I come up, I have part of Belmead, I have all of East Waco, and I have parts of North and South Waco. I come up to North Waco right about 35th Street, although it's zigzag, and South Waco I come up to right about like around 28th Street, again, is zigzag.
And Commissioner Jones is not here today, but he is Precinct 3, which on the furthest north end is City of West. Coming back, swinging over to the east side would be Ross, Tours, and then coming around Elmont, Golson Road, and then back down into North Waco.
Just across the
Lacey
river.
Lakeview.
Yeah,
Lines back.
Lacey Lakeview, that's right.
And quite honestly, he's got a unique precinct because it starts in West and it ends in Woodway. So it takes in a lot of area. But I'm Ben Perry, I'm the County Commissioner Precinct 4, which consists mostly of the cities of Hewitt, Woodway, McGregor, China Spring, Crawford, Bosqueville, basically kind of run out Spring Valley Road, cut over to, and sir, I was listening when you were talking, Commissioner Jones has that part of, you're on Naughty Oaks, was that correct? Yes. So he comes into Woodway on Bosque Drive and has everything towards the lake. And, but a good part of the northwestern side of the county and the central part of the county, the western part of it. So I encourage any of you that want to reach out, you can come to my office. I'll meet you somewhere and talk. These are the things that we have to work together on. We've got to work them out. You've got the best idea. And I really appreciate you because it does take you guys getting in front of everybody that sets a tax rate. That's truly where we have to go. I'm not real pleased with what I've got, but I've got what I've got too. I understand. But I would be glad to meet with any of y'all. Chrissy brought right here as administrative assistant for both Commissioner Smith and myself. And if you want to leave a card or something with her, I'll be glad to get with any of you that would like to visit.
I didn't hear my area. I live at, off of 42nd Avenue and West Waco Drive and Valley Mills.
I think that's gonna be Precinct 3.
Could be
That's
Mr.
Commissioner Will
Jones.
Jones.
Mine cuts in part of that.
You know where Michael's is?
Yes, no, I don't go that far.
I live in Sanger, Brookview.
You're on that, no, yeah.
Yeah, Precinct 3.
So his name is what?
Will Jones. And like Commissioner Perry, I welcome anyone to come and visit
bet.
with me. I don't have an administrative assistant, so I'm a one-man, one-woman shop. So I'll take your name and telephone number, or you can call the office number. But I welcome a discussion. I did hear some addresses that are in Precinct 2, so I just welcome the conversation.
And finally, my name is Scott Felton. I'm a McLennan County judge. This is my 10th year in doing that. My previous experience was finance and budgeting and agriculture. So, all the budget comes through, budget request and all comes through our office, brought to this court through our auditor and budgeting officer, Francis Bartlett. And so we'll be starting the process here fairly quickly, as I said before, to take each department's budget. You know, our biggest cost is personnel because it goes on forever. So we really try to scrutinize increase in budget for personnel. We also have a certain amount of not only our expenses that we create here that we have to pay for and services we pay for, but the state of Texas has been notorious on making requirements on local municipalities and counties and not sending any money with it for us to do it. We have to do it, and puts a burden on local taxpayers, which is called an unfunded mandate. So from that standpoint, we try to keep the pressure, like y'all are talking to us, with state representatives and senators, and as well as the Attorney General and Governor as well. So it's our job to work statewide as well. Yes, ma'am.
I'm like this lady here, I did not hear my district either. I live off Ritchie Road. That's you?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate everyone coming and their interest, and you have to be interested, you have to find out where the information is, get the information, and see how it applies to you. Go to each one of these entities, we're just one part of it. We would invite you to put the same pressure on them as you put on us, so, and that's what we're here for. So, thanks everyone for coming, you're welcome to stay as long as you want to. And we will start our budget.
Make one more comment very quickly. I think each of the commissioners bring a unique perspective. Most of us are lifetime Wacoans. I would say my perspective, and I think I bring a unique perspective, would be glad to visit with anyone about the history of how we got to where we are, because I spent 34 years in the school business and spent 13 years as a superintendent in what was classified as a property poor school district. So I was around when the appraisal districts were created and why they were created, and I can give you my perspective of that and what I know about it is from the historical standpoint and why we are where we are today. So feel free to call, come by, and be glad to share that information with you. Okay?
What is your discussion for today?
It's on, we have to post an agenda, which again is on our website. We can't talk about anything.
We cannot talk about anything that's not on the agenda, and there's nothing on taxes on the agenda.
Okay. All right, let's take a 5-minute recess.
I just never looked up.
Yeah, he was sitting.
Recording in progress.
Let's call court back into session. It is 9:49. All right. Dustin, you want to pick it up from here?
Yes, sir. So we can go to item D3. This is a resolution approving the exercise of power by Oglesby Cultural Facilities Corporation to finance a project for Young Men's Christian Association, YMCA of Central Texas per section 221.030 of the Texas Health and Safety Code. I'd like to call on Dan Plights.
Well,
Morning.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you. And just as a citizen, I do not see how that this could have been handled better than how y'all did it. It's just an awfully tough spot. This is just a request to let a corporation in Oglesby issue tax exempt bonds to help refinish the YMCA. We're going to get a fabulous redo out there. You can pass these down there to the commissioners. What's in color is kind of what they're thinking of fixing up. And I know there's just 3 of them, but I didn't know if you had this.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. So they're gonna, here's what happened in a nutshell. The Wiseman in Waco has been struggling. And so in December last year, they did an asset transfer to the YMCA of Greater Williamson County. It's essentially a merger. That thing has got money. And so they're gonna put over $4 million in fixing up the Waco Family Y out on Harvey Drive. It's one in West Waco, you all know, and it's gonna be nice. The picture is impossible to read some of it, but those are the kinds of things the things that are in color give you a sense of the scope, which is generally, most all of the interior. They're working on the roof right now. It's a $3 million loan, as I said, from Extraco. We need this approval to issue these on a tax exempt basis. That lowers the interest rate.
Right.
As you know, as you're working with bonds.
And
Scott, we just need to pass this. If you have any questions.
this has no impact on cost of our budget or anything. It's just a way to allow them approval to go through this process, and the city of Oglesby would be the municipality that would be used in doing it. So it doesn't cost anything. We're just enabling this to happen. Any questions anyone would have?
No liability for the county.
No liability for the county.
That's correct. And Judge Mark McCliney has reviewed it as well and agrees.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mr. White.
Appreciate it.
All right. Okay. All right, Dustin.
All right, Judge, you want to go to, Commissioner Miller's not back in there yet, is she?
She is not.
All right, we can go to item D2, proclamation recognizing and dedicating the last weekend in April as Baca's Heroes Day. Commissioner Smith?
Yes, sir, thank you. This won't be read today. This coming Sunday, if so approved by the court, I'll present a proclamation recognizing Baca Hero Day. Baca stands for Bikers Against Child Abuse, and this is an international effort. It's an international organization dedicated to protect and support by their physical and emotional presence children who have been subjected to neglect and abuse. And so we're going to recognize these bikers who unite through different projects in this effort. And this will be, I'll read it to them Sunday afternoon at a meeting they'll have here locally in McLennan County. So Bikers Against Child Abuse. And so I would ask the court to approve the proclamation.
So that's a motion from you.
Yes, please.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
D1 is a proclamation acknowledging the month of April 2022 as Drive Electric Earth Month in McLennan County. Commissioner Miller?
Yes, good morning. We simply need to pull this with no action.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right. Moving on to the consent agenda, Judge, I'm showing suggested pull items of E3A, Department Head Reviews, E3B, HR Matter for Road and Bridge Precinct 2, and E6C1, Auditor's Budget Update.
Okay, are there any other recommended pulls by the court? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of the pulls mentioned?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, pass.
And Judge, if we could hold those pulls for just a second and drop down to item H4. This is authorization of agreement for the temporary closure of state right-of-way with Texas Department of Transportation for the GFNY bicycle race. As the court remembers, last session, Josh Oliveri with GFNY gave a presentation regarding this race. It's to be held on June 26th throughout parts of McLennan County. At that time, we approved his presentation, and during it, he had mentioned that there was a permit required by TxDOT. We have reviewed it and thought that maybe GFNY could submit that form to TxDOT, and TxDOT would not accept it and said it actually had to come from the county. And so it's a temporary closure of state right-of-way agreement that the county has to request and enter into with TxDOT. Josh is on the line in case there's any questions. Mike has reviewed this form, and it is okay to submit. We have requested that the county be added as an additional insured on the insurance for the race, and that will happen as well.
And this is similar to the approval with Ironman.
Judge, we did not have to do this for Ironman. I'm not sure if the city had to do it or not, but this is the first time, to my knowledge, that we have done this.
But the city may have done it.
They may have, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any questions about this? Commissioner Miller, you had some questions.
Make a motion to approve H4.
Second.
Have a motion second. All right, discussion?
I had yes, sir. When it says temporary closure of state right-of-way, exactly what is that, Justin? What are we closing?
I can clarify if it's all right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Morning.
Awesome. So there's actually no closures in McLennan County. That's just the verbiage on the TxDOT form. There will just be officers controlling the right-of-way to give cyclists the right-of-way. But as soon as the cyclists are passed, the roads remain open to vehicle traffic throughout the duration of the race. So they'll simply just be traffic delays in the areas where the cyclists are passing through. And if you look at the information that was submitted during the last presentation of this, there's a Google Sheet document called the Waco timesheet. If you take a look at that, it'll show you the affected windows of times where you can expect cyclists at any given intersection. For the majority of the course, it's going to be before 8 a.m. on the busiest road, which we discussed last time, which is Golson, on the way out for the cyclists to make a loop for the course.
Thanks, Josh. But Dustin, and I know you said Mike is on the phone. I'm just trying to get an understanding because we're not, what we're signing is a temporary closure of state right-of-way. It's not going to have those caveats on it. So when we sign off on this, what are we saying as the county?
It's basically saying that we are going to submit to the state for review the plans for the race, and that if there's any modifications to the state's right-of-way during the time, then that the state can require different traffic control plans. They can be temporary traffic control devices if needed, but as Josh stated, they're just going to be controlled by law enforcement during that time. And then included as an attachment to the agreement with the state is the exhibit that Josh just referenced, where it has the timings of going through, and it's showing what the existing control is, if it's a stop sign, if it's a traffic light, if it's a yield, all that is listed in that traffic control plan.
Okay, and just one last question for you, Josh. Is there a reason why your route goes from University Parks and then it turns right, not really left, it turns right onto Herring? Herring doesn't have any shoulders, and then you turn left onto Golson, as opposed to you all just staying straight on University Parks and then making a right on Lake Shore?
Yeah, so we had to be able to navigate to try to get the mileage. So the in order to get out to the main loop that the cyclists do, this was the most efficient route that was recommended by the city of Waco, and their traffic engineer approved is crossing at Herring.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm abstaining.
All right, one abstention, Mr. Miller. All right, next.
All right, Judge, we can move back up to the consent agenda under item E3, Human Resources. We will hold E3A, and those are the reviews until tomorrow. E3B is Road and Bridge Precinct 2. I'd like to call on Anna and Commissioner Miller.
Okay.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
I'd like to let Anna go ahead and proceed.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we have a request here to increase the maximum hourly rate for part-time position number 910. It's a clerical position under Road and Bridge Precinct 2. So its current maximum is $10 per hour. And the request is to increase this hourly rate to $18 per hour. So the description for the position has been updated. So it's not just a simple clerk position. It's now, the description has been updated to add or reflect research and report development, not just general data entry, which is what it was before. And the hopes is that this will assist Commissioner Miller in floating some of the responsibilities that were under the Commissioner's administrative assistant position. So the skill and education requirements have been elevated a bit. And with the new duties, we compared the duties to what full-time positions would hold those duties and averaged what their hourly rate would be, and $18 is that average hourly rate, which is in line with similar positions performing those functions that we've added to this description. So although we've added these, it's still not a complete absorption of function that the Commissioner's administrative full-time assistant positions would hold. So those are still going to be maintained largely by Commissioner Miller for the time being. Do you have anything to add, Commissioner Miller?
No, if you all have any questions, we can address that.
Any questions?
Well, I was very sad to see Miss Reed go. You guys are lucky. Chrissy has about 12 more years on her, so you guys are lucky. You shouldn't come up to the dilemma that I had. LaTronda had 21 years. Yes, she did. But this is going to be a fast year for me. I don't want to take the time to really focus in on someone that I'm going to keep full-time. But if I can get someone in with skills that can kind of help me navigate the office is what I was asking HR to do. So if you all are good with this, I would make a motion to approve the hourly rate change and the recommendations from HR.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
And Judge, sorry to skip around one more time, but if we could go down to item H3, authorization of First Amendment to tax abatement agreement with Markham Solar Farm LLC, formerly known as Glory Leasing LLC. Back in October of 2019, the court approved a tax abatement agreement with Glory Leasing LLC for a solar farm. Glory Leasing has now changed its name to Markham Solar Farm LLC, and so this is an abatement. This is an amendment to our abatement agreement with Glory Leasing to place the name correctly now with Markham Solar Farm. It also makes some amendments to the agreement, and Mike has reviewed those as well as Chris Collins. Mike, did you want to add anything?
No, the changes primarily were to address, the time for completion, and they just changed some of the standard language that we have, but there wasn't anything earth shattering.
The time of completion is extended due to what? Anyone know?
Yes, sir. This is Mark Wingurski with Scout Clean Energy. We now own the Markham Solar Farm, but due to the current supply chain challenges, when we look at tariffs, when we look at inflation, we're looking for the markets ultimately stabilize so we can build the most economic project possible. So with that in mind, we're looking for a little more time so we can ultimately, get the best price for people to build this thing and for, supply to ultimately get steel out of the ground.
Mike,
Yes.
what was the advantage was it because of the change of ownership or whatever that they moved their legal jurisdiction from Texas to Delaware?
Well, they're still under the jurisdiction of Texas. They do business here, and our agreements require them to litigate here. But no, most companies, most LLCs and corporations are out of Delaware because Delaware has some more favorable laws for business organizations.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No other
Thank you all.
Yeah, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
All right, moving back to item E6C, County Auditor. E6C1 is Financial and Budget Update Presentation. Francis?
I am passing out the annual financial report. It is complete now for fiscal year 21. And then probably the presentation on the top here.
Thank you, ma'am.
So this is, of course, a physical copy of the book, but
And all this on our website.
yes. So I'll just kind of repeat. So our annual financial reports are all found on the county website on the auditor's office page. So you can view now this current report as well as past year's reports. They're all there in PDF and they're word searchable, so easy to access. And then just on that same note, budget documents are on the budget office page of the county website. The proposed and adopted for each year for the last few years. So today I just want to give you an update as to where we ended last year. And again, I'm going to try to just hit highlights. We could talk about this, I know, for hours and hours. And if anybody wants to, please let me know, and we are more than happy to do so. And then I'm going to give you an update as to where we are right now, halfway through this current fiscal year. I feel like this is really loud. So in the document, this, of course, is our set of financial statements for fiscal year 21. They comply with all of the accounting requirements that are established by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. We compile the report, and then our outside auditors come in and they audit our financial activity and accounting records for the whole year, and then issue an opinion on those records and our report. So I just want to start just quickly on page 11. That is the opinion letter that is issued by Patillo, Brown and Hill. And they say, that the financial statements present fairly in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities, all of the funds of McLennan County, Texas. So that is always the opinion that we want to get. So just kind of a big overview. Again, lots of information in this report, but there's three main sections. There's an introductory section, a financial section, and then a statistical section in the back. Everything, the order that it's put in, everything that's presented, how it's presented, that all has to comply with the governmental accounting standards. So that's why it's put together the way it is. We do submit this report to GFOA, the Governmental Finance Office Association each year. And then they review, and then they make sure that it complies with their standards. And then issue a Certificate of Achievement Award for the report if they feel it's needed or deserves it. So last year, of course, we'll await this award, hopefully, but last year, the 2020 fiscal year, was the 36th consecutive year that McLennan County had received that award. So I just, if you want to start, I just want to touch on a few things. Page 32. That page 32 is going to start your main financial statements. So there's 6 pages that start on page 32. Your first 2 pages are what is referred to as the government-wide financial statements. So these are statements that they look a little different than what we usually look at when we're looking at fund balance and accounts throughout the year. But it gives the readers of the financial report a very broad overview of county finances, very similar to the financial statements of a private sector business. So what happens is all of our funds are compiled into this one report here. And our health insurance fund, like our self-insurance fund, is even one of the things that's compiled in here. We add in items, long-term debt, capital assets, depreciation expense. All of those things are rolled up into this report. So again, different than regular governmental accounting standards, but required that we present them this way. You'll see at the bottom of page 32, you'll see it says total net position. So usually when we're looking at our governmental financial statements, we use the term fund balance. Like, fund balance is what we're always concerned about and looking at. And so net position is what is referred to here. So it is not, fund balance is more so cash on hand and cash available to spend. Net position has a lot more things rolled into it. And I'm sorry, I should share my screen. This would be easier. Sorry, y'all. But you'll see there, our final total net position was right over 121 million. If you go over to page 33, I'm so sorry, I should have had this pulled up.
You were gonna, I guess, kind of share the difference in fund balance, the term fund balance and net position.
So it's just looking at financial statements 2 different ways. So your fund balance, and we'll get to that in a second, that's based on a modified accrual basis of counting. It is your fund that are available to spend, either restricted or unassigned. Net position is more of a kind of a broad indicator of the financial position of the county.
Okay.
Okay.
Kind of funny that the guy that was here watching budget, but he's gonna start talking about numbers. Carry on.
Hello. Okay, I'm getting there, y'all. I'm sorry.
Nobody wants to stay and listen to the boring part.
Oh, man.
Look what you did.
Take offense.
I mean, they're paid to stay. You have to stay. We'll put it in your performance review if you do.
Okay, so that, you'll see there, like I said, page 32. So that's your statement of net position. Page 33, I just want to point this out because I think sometimes it can be an interesting way to look at things. So again, this is a financial statement that doesn't look familiar based on what we're usually looking at as far as governmental accounting standards go. But if you'll look at this, this is broken up into functions. So you'll see, I know that's small up on the screen, but general administration, judicial, public safety, and so forth. That first column is going to be the expenses that were incurred for the fiscal year. So you'll see there, for each category there with a total of about $174 million. As you walk it forward, you'll see there that it says program revenues. And what this is doing is it is showing how each function of the government supports or does not support itself. So you'll see there's charges for services, and those are revenues that are generated directly through that function. You'll see there's grants, operating, and capital. And then in the final column, you'll see that each function is not supporting itself for the most part through revenues. And so I think sometimes that's good for the public to see that we're not generating revenue to fund these programs that have to be in place. So then if you fall below that main part of the schedule, you'll see general revenues. So then those are the revenues that are collected to pick up those amounts that have to be covered, the expenditures that we have to incur each year. And so of course, the largest parts being property taxes and sales tax, but then other revenues as well that you'll see listed there. And then this just kind of walks forward your net position, again, that will match that page we just looked at. So there was a $26 million increase in position from last year to this, or from 2020 to 2021. And stop me if you have questions. And so then on the following page, on page 34, this is where you will start seeing the governmental fund financial statements. So like I said, these are
Recording in progress.
Sorry about that.
these should look more familiar as to what, we look at on a daily, monthly, annual basis. What appears here is your major funds. All funds that are not considered major funds are collapsed into the final column that says other governmental funds. And you'll find a breakdown of that column in another part of the report. So as the report moves on, it continues to uncollapse all of this information into more detailed information. All right. So of course, I think just looking at that financial statement, probably the most scrutinized number on there is going to be your fund balance. And so you'll see those numbers there along the bottom, and we'll cover some of that here in a sec. But fund balance is also broken up into different categories. So we're used to looking at unassigned as to what fund balance is available to fund our next year's budget. We also have funds that are committed, which means that the governing body has placed restrictions on those funds. And then there's funds that are restricted, an outside entity has placed restrictions on those funds. So that is why there are different classifications there. All right. So, like I said, as you go through the report, there's financial statements. Then for our proprietary funds, our health insurance funds, our custodial funds or fiduciary funds that we're holding for others just as the holder, trust accounts, funds that are due to the state. There's a large section of notes that goes into a lot of verbiage and a lot of detailed information that'll lead you back to these financial statements. Budget to actual statements, any budget that you as a court actually approve, those budget to actual statements are in here. And then there's a statistical section in the back. You'll find a lot of information on tax rates, on overlapping tax rates throughout the county. There's information on personnel numbers and how those have changed over the year. Just a lot of information to go through. Like I said, I know, we could spend a lot of time going through it, but as you look through it, if you ever want to meet, we're more than happy to sit down and talk through any of it. If we'd like to do another more in-depth work session, more than happy to do that as well.
If I could,
Of course.
I think we'll take you up on that suggestion that actually before we start the budgeting process, that we really go back and focus on what we did last year and where we kind of hit it, where we kind of missed.
Yes,
And I
sir.
know you do that anyway at the start of the budget, but let's say 2 or 3 weeks before we start the budget process to get it all in our mind about where our baseline is.
Definitely. That's
And just have an open discussion about ideas that anyone have. We can make the agenda item broad enough for discussion.
And we can go over, just refresh our memories on the definitions of the different tax rates, the no new revenue rate and the voter approval rate, things like that, so.
Well, I think with amount of people that like showed up this morning and these, you're gonna see this all the way through.
Mhm.
And, you know, just like back when we had the negative budget, and the thing that we did right was that we did a lot of talking in open session about the budget and the solutions to the budget. And we talked about it enough, and I will commend the TRIB for reporting it as we talked about it, so the taxpayer came to the same conclusion that we did on the solution. And this year, we need to do that again. And so I think that would be good to really, first of all, educate ourselves, but also hopefully it helps to educate
Definitely.
others.
So I just, I always struggle with this screen share. Okay, so that's the report, very, very brief highlights there, but then I just want to go through a few other highlights specifically on the year.
Before we move from your CAFR, I just wanted to say, with over 20 years of reading through this document, I just want to thank you for how you so clearly lay out information. It's kind of like, it's complicated and it is a lot of information, but I just appreciate the extreme care that you take in presenting it in a way that we should be able to understand it.
It's definitely a group effort, a year-long 16-person group effort. So again, I just wanted to point out the net position and how and kind of look at how that's changed over the years. So, you know, like I said before, the net position, not fund balance, but the net position, similar to that of a private sector business, has kind of all inclusive, has your capital assets in there, it has your long-term debt, it has debts related to your pension and your OPEB programs. So all rolled in there. And so over time, even though that's not directly related to cash, over time, that can really be a good indicator as to our financial position as a county. So you'll see there in 2012, it fluctuated here and there, but now we're on an upward growth trend there for the last 4 years. So I just wanted to look at that in context of the last 10 years. This is just very simple, just looking at our three main governmental funds that collect ad valorem property taxes, those being the general fund, our debt service fund, and our permanent improvement fund. And this is just a breakdown, just to kind of get a grasp that, you know, 87 million of it being property taxes, with the other, I guess 46 million being sales tax, and then all of our other sources of revenue, those being fines and fees, interest, income, anything else will just fall into that category. So, again, you know, the tax rate, of course, always plays into our financial statements, being that it plays into our revenue numbers, which affect our end fund balance or net position. So I was just like to review this and show you, you know, where we've come on the last 10 years. Like Judge Felton had mentioned, back in 2014, we did increase the tax rate. We were in a spot where we needed to, but you have brought that tax rate back down to 0.425%. So that's impressive progress.
That's, you know, and maybe we don't talk about it enough, but I think, you know, that's something that whenever and it was spoken to about being transparent, I think we are. I just think some people have trouble digging in and finding the information. And so, and with only 3 or 4 people out of that whole group that read the Waco Tribune Herald, and only a couple knew how to access the website, I don't know how else to get the information out except maybe groups coming in or representatives of groups and asking questions so we can get that out and they can report back. That might be the new way of doing it, by social media, but having fact. And so help them get that fact. But the fact that we go back to that tax rate.
Oh, sorry.
How do I go?
Yeah, and I think social media is probably the platform for the future, but it needs to be social media that presents true picture and true fact that, for right or wrong, and I think it was good that everyone ended up here that allowed them to express themselves, but many people came today because of some falsehoods on social media stating that we were going to set tax rates today, which is, was far from the truth.
Well, there's 6 years there in a row that the tax rate declined, with one being equal from the prior year, pretty much, I think, yeah. 48.53 and 48.53. And, so, and making a significant drop this last year in tax rate, where a taxpayer didn't see an increase unless they added on to their house. If the house was the same, they didn't see it. But what helps us do this is by the fact that we invest in economic development, and that tax revenue coming in, people get caught up that there's abatements or those kind of things, but it's still the net. It wouldn't be here if we didn't have it, and there's a net increase that goes against that helps them helps us lower their home tax rate.
And attracting people into our communities and attracting new businesses that don't go on the tax rolls, they're not figured against it. That allows us to lower the rates.
Yeah, that's right.
And that paints a picture right there too, and Commissioner Miller was around then, but in 2013, we were in pretty serious trouble. Couldn't have got a bond.
No.
Could not have gone out and got a
We were
bond.
afraid to see what our tax rate,
Our
our
rating.
bond rating was.
So you see a picture there that we had to take a huge swing of the bat in 14 and did. And the commitment at that time was the minute we can start coming back down on that tax rate, we will. Once we've cleaned house and got everything squared away. And Francis, thank you for bringing that back and pointing that out, or Judge for asking. But from 48, 43 to 42.50, and the opportunity this year to potentially go down from there is quite impressive. And I know it stings when we get these notices in the mail and see what we're paying, but we're working, getting it down there as low as we can, no doubt.
Okay.
And then just we looked at the revenue breakdown for some of our main governmental funds. This is just expenditures by function for most all of our governmental funds. So you'll see, of course, the largest being public safety, but then, public transportation, judicial, capital projects make up other large pieces. And then general government, of course, needed to support all of those functions. So just wanted to, at a glance, see what that breakdown was. Just looking at general fund, and again, of course, we're just looking at where we ended in fiscal year 21. The blue being your inflows, red being outflows. You can see there, like y'all were just discussing, 2013, that cross was made where we were bringing in, we were not spending more than we were bringing in. And so that line, we want to keep that as close together as possible. The line is branching out there the last 2 years, but lots of outliers in the last 2 years due to COVID and all of the spin-off issues that have occurred has just really skewed the last 2 years if you look at it trend-wise. So of course, our goal is to get those numbers, get those lines back together. And then this is general fund. This is looking at the final budget, the final revised budget compared to what we actually spent for the year. Again, just in general fund. So in 2021, I don't think I can use my cursor, you can't see it. Oh, yes, you can. So in 2021 there, those lines had kind of come apart, and that was about a $13 million, we were about $13 million under budget. That had to do again with COVID and the lack of activity, also some additional grant funding that we used to fund a lot of personnel expenses. So just some things there. But then if you look at 2021, we were about $10 million under budget. So those lines coming back together. And I think when we end 2022, those lines will come back together even more as things get up and running. This is, again, just general fund. This is the combination of unassigned, assigned fund balance. And so when we're in budget workshops and we're always looking at that end number, this is the part of fund balance we're looking at. And so 2020, we ended with this assigned fund balance of about 54 million. 2021, we're at 69 million. So there's an increase there, and that has to do just with increase in revenue coming under budget. But again, we will use that fund balance to partially fund next year's budget. So that, of course, we even out to make sure that we're using the fund balance we're sitting on, and then look to tax revenue for the remainder.
Francis also head and sales tax way outpaced expectations.
Way outpaced. And I'll touch on that here in a second. Even when we were in budget workshops last year, sales tax is 2 months behind from the state. And so I guess in July, we knew what May had come in at, but June, July, August, and September were like off the charts, sales tax wise. So it's interesting to see how that played out, and when we look at it, where we are at this year, opposed to our budget.
And the comment was made about Magnolia, who is the largest, I think they're the largest retail sales taxpayer in the county.
Are they?
I think by a pretty good ways. And so, I think I figured out about, sales tax is about, almost 20% of our overall revenue.
Yes,
And
correct.
so having big sales tax generators are important to us.
And then this was just looking at that portion of fund balance compared to expenditures, which I know is a large focus of our budget workshops each year. And so 2021, we ended at 62.6%, which is higher than our goal. And like I said, we will use that fund balance to fund next year's budget. So.
Okay, we'll make a note that at 10:31, Commissioner Miller had to leave for another meeting, so I just wanted to make that part of the record.
Just jump in topics a little bit. Health Insurance Fund, this is a combination of our 3 self-funded plans, Health, Vision, Dental. And again, just looking at revenues over expenditures, you can see that blue line exceeding expenditures for the last 3 years. So that's good for our plan. And the net position of the Health Insurance Fund continues to grow, which is also.
And do we don't have a policy regarding, like we do with the budget, that we would keep a
I didn't
certain
mean to
amount
take it
of
off.
excess,
Right.
we'd have a limit.
Right.
And once we got over that, then we don't fund over that. We keep a certain amount of margin for a bad year.
Right, but we don't, you're right, we don't have that
Yeah,
policy.
I think we should establish policy on that.
And, like you said, not a policy established, but Hub International, Randy McGraw, he will analyze the plan, and he will say, hey, you don't need to put as much into that plan this year. We've been, he says, we're good the way we're going, but I'm assuming at some point he would make the recommendation.
And I look at these kind of things and I trust him, especially, he really knows what he's doing, he's giving us good advice. Policies are for not at a certain time, they're forever. In other words, it would be ongoing. The pub's no longer there, and, they would give a guideline in policies, with the right logic, you can say there's an excuse why we're not gonna stick to that, but I think it's just a guideline that'd be here for a long time.
This plan is performing extremely well.
Yeah.
Sure has the last few years.
So that's just looking at where we ended last year. So just some basic information there. Then I just have a short update. I'll make it as short as I can. On where we are at 6 months into our fiscal year. So 9/30/21, fast forward to March 31st, 2022. And this 6 months is a great time to really take a look at it and assess where we are. Get our bearings, of course, moving into budget discussions. And like the judge said, we will continue to reiterate and revisit these topics before we get deep into budget discussions. This is just general fund, just looking at original budget versus what we anticipate for a total year. So you'll see that revenues, we're anticipating about 4.5 million more than anticipated. And that is all sales tax, pretty much all sales tax. Expenditures, we're looking to come about $8 million under budget. So again, that number under budget is coming down, but no issues with the budget, of course, now, but issue in that we need to get that number down further, and we'll visit that at budget workshops to look at where we can do so.
And then that fund balance is gonna stay fairly steady. I know there's some things that can come out of that, correct? But it still is gonna stay pretty close to the proximity that it's in.
Yes, and we have some ideas this year on trying to level that out a little more, looking at our unspent budget, so we'll be presenting those to y'all. Just a quick glance, debt service fund, permanent improvement fund, again, ad valorem funded funds. These are very close to what we anticipated, so just wanted to give you a heads up there. Revenues and expenditures are on track for both. General fund revenues, kind of breaking down that number from that first slide. About a 4.5 million, we're anticipating 4.5 million more than we had budgeted for. And you'll see there in that top line that 4 million anticipated increase over budget there, and that is sales tax. Anticipating a little more in fines and fees, but primarily the increase there. Here's our sales tax revenue trend for the last 10 or so years. Of course, 2022 is estimated for the last 8 months of this year. But you'll see there between like at the very bottom, you'll see the percentage increase year over year, increased 18% from 2020 to 2021. We're anticipating just the 7% increase for 2022, but like the judge was saying earlier, as that number increases and builds and becomes a bigger portion of our budget, then you can, balance it and lower possibly property taxes.
What year or did it happen, maybe my imagination, where the state stepped in and online sales as far as sales tax, being able to collect locally, or what happened?
I know it's been in the last 10 years, of course, but I want to say maybe 5 years ago.
5 years ago?
I remember it, and
Okay.
can check on that, of course. And then general fund expenditures. This isn't all inclusive, but just 3 areas that were just to note. So we summed up all personnel expenditures. We're looking to come about 3.3 million under budget, and that is due to vacancies. Indigent defense coming under budget about 600,000. Again, we're watching that closely because we know that will ramp up quickly with the courts opening more, moving forward. And then supplies and equipment, just kind of looking at that as a whole, those are things that are spread out all through the budget in all different departments. So just when you pull it together to really get an idea of what's being budgeted there, and then what we're coming in under budget, I just thought that'd be an interesting thing to look at. Jumping to our permanent improvement funds that are funded through the bond issuances. Currently, the fund balance in our bond proceeds, and that goes through the 2021 bond, is 27.6 million. We have currently 12.7 million spoken for. You have approved projects. We've done budget amendments. So those are your ADA projects, the large road projects, the tower project, and then there's some other miscellaneous building improvements. That leaves you right under 15 million in bond proceeds. That is not spoken for with a formal court action at this point. I know there's been a lot of discussion of upcoming projects.
So Chapel Road is in the 12.7?
Correct.
It's all, okay.
Chapel, Ritchie, Spiegelville, and Surrey Ridge were all already budgeted for and included in all those numbers. And then I just wanted to look at the venue project and the taxes that are flowing in there. I know, again, this is small to see up there. Just on the left side there, vehicle rental taxes, 2020 and 2021, there was a drop there for 2020. The amount remained constant for 2021, but we're anticipating about a $60,000 increase for the whole year for 2022. And then over on the right side, that's going to show you each month what hotel occupancy taxes came in at, and then compare it to the last 5 years. That final column, if you look down those first 6 months, I believe this, I may misspeak, but I think those are the highest months we've had since the beginning of the venue project. And then at the very bottom, there's a piece that compares just those 6 months to the first 6 months of the prior years. And you'll see there it's a 92% increase over 2020-21, which again, unprecedented year, but shows you that it's bouncing back, and I believe bouncing back quicker than we had anticipated.
Dustin, you have any commentary on that?
No, sir, it looks very strong, and that's what Mark McCliney had said. It does look like it's recovering much faster than any of us had anticipated.
Right. Then with the new hotels coming online, then and the amount of events that are being hosted in the community, that's going to go up. That's a very positive thing.
Since we do only have 6 months actually complete, I just wanted to compare those first 6 months to the same first 6 months for the past 5 years. So you'll see there that the bright blue line in each month, of course, being 2022. So like I said, that's exceeded any of the same months in the past 5 years, that we've had. And then projecting what we will get for the next 6 months, I think it's a conservative number, but this is looking at all 12 months of the year. And again, if you follow that bright blue line for 2022, it's looking good to exceed our collections for prior years. At the top here, I know this is a lot to take in at once, but this is looking at this fiscal year, taking actuals and estimates. Each month, what we have brought in or expect to bring in for both types of taxes, what we hold out for the debt service payment, and then what that monthly surplus, if you want to call it, is of revenues over expenditures. Then that amount is carrying forward. You'll see there a total possible surplus of right under $1 million for the year. And then on the bottom, these are both fund balance walk forwards for both funds. So just to remind everyone, the venue project has two pieces. There's a debt service fund. It's collecting all the tax revenue, paying the bond, and then any money that's remaining there, we're able to transfer that then to the construction fund and then fund projects out of the construction fund. Right. So there you'll see the fund balance in the debt service fund of the $3.3 million, walking it forward with anticipated revenues, debt payments. We already made one transfer this year in December to the construction fund of $1.7 million. And so I think soon we can revisit that, and if we need to move funds again.
Yeah, I think probably by sometime this fall after we do our budget, working with the, looking at the venue and with in partnership with the Hortex Fair Board would be looking at projecting what we think the revenue will be out, so they can start figuring out a construction plan to see when they could start with the new facility.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, it actually was the highest in the projections of doing all the venue project. The equine facility or the show facility showed to generate more revenue than the base would. And so that'll be another, the quicker we can get that thing built, but it's driven by this. So there's not anything we can do other than just sit back and collect money and make transfers. So anyhow.
And then that right side on the bottom, talking about the other fund, the construction fund. So just walking forward that fund balance, what we anticipate sitting on it at year end for that fund. So it's just at a glance what those look like. And then just to add, you know, any of these hotel occupancy taxes or vehicle rental taxes are collected and can only be used for the venue project. Any funds spent on the venue project can only be these taxes. So no ad valorem taxes ever go to any of these projects that fall under this venue project umbrella. I promise it's almost over. Just again, looking at our proprietary funds, where we are right now, halfway through the year. The shaded columns are the fund balances of each of those three funds. So you can see that, especially the health insurance fund, very healthy. It's increased year over year. Fiscal year 2022 is only 6 months in. There's a lot of delay, of course, on claims. And information that comes in. So that will definitely change before year end, but dental and vision, similar to each year that we've seen so far. And then this was just each of those plans, ending fund balance as a percentage of the expenses that are funneled through those. And that's all I had, but questions
Any
or
questions?
anything you want to go into further?
If not, is there a motion to approve this report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
Good
Okay,
report.
thank you.
Hey,
Francis.
Judge,
Yeah.
when we had our last break, I didn't make it out the door. I was too much of a conversation. Might we take a short break?
Yes, sir. 5-minute recess.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.
little brother's a CPA, I understand it.
I was a CPA in California.
Were you? Okay. He just recently retired from, KPMG, I guess, yeah.
A big one.
Yeah, big boy, one of the big boys, but he's off. He was the lead auditor on a company named, Halliburton.
That would've been a fun one too.
Yeah, I think he told me one year their audit bill was like $27 million.
Yeah, there's probably some warranties behind all that. They had.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. He lived in Florida for a while and did, what was the old boy? Auto Nation. Hussinger, that owned the Florida Marlins, I think. That one, and Burger King and Zales and.
It's so fun.
He-
I did some corporations, but when I worked at Patillo, but I just did like some, when governmental's not busy,
Yeah.
they'll use you in bank audit or corporate audit, but it's fun.
So, you know, he was involved, or he was all there at that time with the Enron scandal. He was an auditor, so they put that deal in place where every 5 years you had to change your, lead auditor, I believe, so that's the reason he went from Dallas to Houston Dallas to Boca Raton to Houston, because it was 5 years caught up.
See, I think, like they'll change out partners, but to me, if they really wanted to change something, they would have said change firms. Because they're just gonna change the partner that's over you.
Now, at
And
the
it's
credit,
different set of eyes.
we contracted, for our internal audit, we contracted with people.
Patillo.
Actually,
You heard from Chris.
TD was our external for years, and when they said we needed an internal, we either had to hire somebody.
Yeah, and tell her, she doesn't need to try to sell anything, just tell us
Which, so
whether
PBH
it's, would come under.
internal audit. and
Or,
said the other one, big one
how
was
would
out
WebMap
Temple
look
and
like?
Macon, some initials too, I can't.
James Rittmeyer, JRBT.
Yeah, JLBT became our external,
I see.
and then I think in 5 years, they just
Switched back.
swapped back. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
Okay, it's 10:51, let's call court back into session. I think Dustin, you wanna go to, item dealing with the, volunteer fire department?
Yes, sir. Let me jump down there real quick. Give me 1 second. So under K1A, this is ARPA discussion. K1A2 is the Mart Volunteer Fire Department. And then K1A3 is Downsville. We had discussed the Mart one last week, that we had received it late. And then the question was out if there were any others. And we finally got the information back from Downsville. So before you today are two agreements. First one is for Mart. It totals $5,492.89. The second one is for Downsville, and it totals $15,000, which was the maximum that we allowed under ARPA. So we're just looking for approval of those two agreements.
Now, is this approved to pay them, or is it approved to put them on the list and prioritize them, or, I guess
No,
it's
no,
Just to pay, I believe.
pay them under, under the volunteer fire department?
Yes, sir.
Request, yeah, okay.
This is all ARPA funding, correct? From
All ARPA, yes, sir.
all ARPA funding, okay. And y'all have looked at both documentations?
Yes, sir. We, documentation is satisfactory, and the agreements are similar to the ones that we had prepared before, just really subbing in Martin Downsville and the amounts requested.
Okay. Covers covers a portion of their losses from COVID then, when they couldn't do the.
Yes,
fundraiser.
sir.
Okay, very good.
I'd make a motion to approve K1A2 and K1A3.
Second?
All right, we have a motion second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, moving back up to item F, budget and budget amendments. F1s regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
Thank you. Yes, so budget amendments FY '22, starting with F1A. This one is in our permanent improvement fund. The request is to move from the contingencies in that fund into the line item for the building modifications at maintenance of buildings facility, $9,013, and it includes the materials and labor for the staircase and the painting of the offices. F1B, this is general fund, 19th District Court, requesting to move within their department from the line item for court reporters to other services and charges. It's to cover, for the remainder of the year, the AT&T bills. F1C, this is general fund, adult probation. They're requesting to move within their department from supplies to other services and charges for shredding cost for the year. F1D, this is general fund AgriLife extension, requesting to move from their professional development line into other services and charges to accommodate expenditures for that category line for the year. F1E, this is general fund, the countywide department. The request is to move from the countywide contingencies into other services and charges. And this is for the Kleinfelder proposal that was approved on the last agenda. F1F, this is a budget amendment for the general fund for the Highway 6 jail. The request is to move from the IT assessments line in the IT department into furniture and equipment for the jail. This will cover the purchase of a printer as well as some other expenses related to it. Sorry. Printers, and they're related to the mugshot printer, I guess.
The booking printer.
The IT had available funds that they were able to reclass over to the jails department. F1G, this is general fund for Jack Harwell Detention Center Medical. They are requesting to move from the full-time employees line into overtime pay. And just due to vacancies, they have funds in the full-time line item, but are also in need of overtime as well, so. And then F1H, this is general fund, maintenance of buildings. They're requesting to move an amount, $60,698 from contingencies. This would be an increase to supplies for flags that are needed for the courthouse facility. There is also an amount there that is needed for unexpected repair and maintenance costs related to the recent inclement weather. It includes a repair that had to be done to the Sedactic system at the jail, a motor on a bay door at the jail, and then roof damage at a show barn at the fairgrounds.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Are you, okay, is it all right?
Yeah.
Okay. On the storm damage, and I understand there was some extensive storm damage, lightning hit and wind damage at the two different facilities. How does our deductible, our insurance deductible, what on covering things like that from storm damage, where does that kick in, or how much?
So these probably aren't enough expenditures to go for that. Off the top of my head, I can't think, but Dustin just popped on and he may be able to chime in.
I think it's 25,000, commissioners, what our deductible is.
Per incident?
Per occurrence.
Per occurrence.
Per occurrence.
Per occurrence, per building?
If it's the same line of storms, I think TAC would typically count that as the occurrence. That's something we would just have to work through with them.
And we had a $10,000 deductible at one time, and it just made no sense to keep it there, so we bumped it up to 25.
Okay.
Lowered our premium cost.
Lowered our premiums, I understand that. But if our repair cost and it's all the same weather related, and it's, in excess of 50,000, would it behoove us to look at the possibility of claiming that? I don't want to.
If that's the fact.
If that's a fact, I don't know. Yeah.
We'll look at that.
Yeah. But I certainly don't want to hold up paying people, because I know those places, I know we have to repair the jail, I know we have to repair the barn out at the HOT, so I understand that, so I don't want to hold that up, but be something to explore.
Definitely.
And
you'll see
Commissioner,
sorry.
Sorry, Francis, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, a lot of times when we've had events like this, sometimes the expenses come slowly, like with the freeze. I know
Right.
things popped up. So you'll see on the budget amendment, we have it in a sub-account of their normal repair and maintenance. So it's isolated there, and we can keep an eye on those expenses as if they happen to grow.
Sure.
Sorry, Dustin.
And we do put TAC on notice. We actually just submitted our property renewal questionnaire a couple weeks ago, and it was after the storm. And so in any unclaimed matters. We had listed the storm damage, so that's something we'll be tracking and in conversation with TAC.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, you've heard that there's no other questions on items F1A through F1H. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. F1I.
Do you want me?
Yeah, if you want to cover
This
that.
is a reimbursement request for spaceport activity. Sorry, let me get there. It covers expenses related to a booth that they had at a trade show in Florida. And so we have a line item that is, we have funds budgeted for this purpose for spaceport economic development.
And it's broke out in detail, but the total amount is $2,089. Any questions on that? I'll make a motion to approve F1I.
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Okay, Dustin.
Under item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs, G1 is authorization of renewal for RFP 19-019, license to place vending machines on McLennan County property with automatic chef canteen. Ken?
Yes, we've had this license agreement for a while. As stated in the letter, we get 23% net with a minimum of $1,400 on sales out of the machines. They've kept the prices on the items in the machines the same for years. In this renewal, they're coming to us requesting an increase on those items in the machines. We did a comparison of current prices to the price increases. Overall, it ranges from 20 to, on some of the items, as much as 75%, but it's small dollar items.
How does it compare to the other contract we have that handles the Harwell?
I would have to go in and actually tear that apart. I'm sorry, we can hold off on this until I go check that. But they checked against convenience stores, and it's still less than what a convenience store charges.
I mean, unless you're in a rush to do this, we do have a discussion generally every year or so.
Yes.
About vending machines, and I think inflation's hitting them about as hard as it is anybody.
Yeah, that's why I come to the court, because again, I think it's just a inflation-related situation.
Yeah, we can.
As long as they're comparable.
Yeah, that's right.
But if one's much more competitive.
What was your question, Commissioner? I didn't hear.
So we've got a different vendor that handles the jails, Highway 6 and Harwell. And I was just curious if it's comparable, the contract we have there, how comparable is it to this contract?
I see.
And I think they're different kind of vending machines too. If you go to the jail as a visitor and you look at the vending machines, the product in those vending machines is much different.
It's almost like a market.
That's right. They're running like
it's a marketplace. It's like a store.
And it may not work anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with this. I understand it, but I tell you what, I would move that we approve this, but I would like for you to come back and later on and just talk about our vending, vendors and what the prices are and those kind of things.
We did take a look at the market in other situations in the past. There was some guarantees that they wanted that we didn't want to accept. Yeah. And so it kind of works at the jail. It doesn't necessarily work in some of our other areas that are.
That's what I was saying. It may be specific, location specific as to what.
Yes.
So, but I concur.
Second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Under item H, contracts and interlocal agreements, H1s regarding the United States Marshal Services agreements. H1A is a ratification of a modification of intergovernmental agreement number 15 for Jack Harwell Detention Center. And H1B is a ratification of modification of intergovernmental agreement number 1 for Highway 6. And both of these just incorporate new requirements for federal performance-based detention standards and others. And David Ives, did you have anything you'd like to add additional?
There's some changing of the language in this as far as what the definition of postpartum, pregnant females, medical services, things of that nature, but there is no rate change for this contract. It is just a wording change.
Okay, strictly verbiage and no cost to the county.
No
Correct.
additional cost.
No additional cost to the county.
That is correct.
Okay.
What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you, David.
H2, sorry, Judge.
That's right. I just telling David, thank you. Well, he's still gonna be on here, isn't he? I see you.
No,
Well, Judge, we did both of those.
Yeah, okay.
That was one, A and B.
All right, thanks. Okay.
H2 is authorization of agreement with Festival on the Brazos for use of McLennan County Records Building parking lot. Festival on the Brazos has requested to use that parking lot from 6 p.m. till midnight on the evening of Friday, April 22nd. They will use it for valet parking for their event at the convention center. We have done this in the past, and we will just make TAC aware if the court approves.
Okay, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass.
H5 is authorization of renewal of service agreement with Civic Plus for the Civic HR applicant tracking and new hire onboarding subscriptions. Anna?
Thank you, Dustin. I'm requesting the renewal of the Civic HR subscription. This is where we collect all our employment applications and store them. The renewal is up for a new subscription beginning May 4th. And there was a 5% increase compared to last year's total price. So the total, the renewal that we're requesting is $16,737.52. This is a 1-year subscription. And we've been happy with the system so far. I can take any questions if the court would like.
This covers applicant tracking and employee onboarding, correct?
Yes, sir. Those two platforms are what the system supports. And it used to also include performance evaluation. So the subscription used to be more than $20,000, but we've removed that. So we did receive a decrease in our subscription after removing the performance evaluation platform that we no longer use.
Thank you.
What percentage increase is that? I should have calculated that.
Is it 5%, you said?
That's correct. It's a 5%
Okay, thank
increase.
you. Okay, and the functionality is fine, y'all, works good.
Yes, we're happy with it. It allows us to route the applications to each hiring manager, and then it archives it for us as well. So we've started this applicant tracking system in 2017. So we can go back and look at applications as old as 2017 in the system.
Are you required by law to retain applications for so long?
We are, especially for current employees or anybody who was employed at one point, we're required to store the applications for at least 75 years.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
H6 is authorization of professional services agreement renewal with Hub International Insurance Services for employee benefit plan, group health insurance plan consultant. I'd like to call on Anna or Ken.
Do you mind if I take it?
I would like you to. Go ahead.
Okay. This is our professional service agreement with Hub. Randy has confirmed that he's willing to extend the agreement for another year under the same terms and the same rate of $48,000 for the year. I know HR has been really happy with Randy's guidance and assistance And so I request the court's approval of continued service agreement with Randy and Hub.
I would like to say that, I asked, Randy, Hub International to do some, probably a little bit out of our agreement, analysis for us. It was pretty detailed and in-depth. And, he did a great job, and he helped us, with the communication, on the project, and, no additional charge, and then he did not increase this year. And I look at him as a real value, that he provides to the county. And I'd make a motion, we approve, that contract, renewal of that contract at the same price.
Second.
Statement. I had the opportunity, it's my first opportunity to be part of the insurance committee,
Yeah.
Group Health Insurance Committee. Extremely impressed with Randy's knowledge and what he's done for us, and he's a definite.
In the forecasting business, he's better than the weatherman.
Yeah.
He's been right on. He really has kept us.
Pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we have motion second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass.
H7 is authorization of administrative services agreement amendment with United Healthcare Services for the McLennan County Group Health Plan. Anna?
Yes, so we, United Healthcare sent us an amendment to our current administrative agreement, just outlining the administrative support they're providing, or the service description for the services they're providing related to the Consolidated Appropriations Act. They've confirmed that they're adding this for this year. They're at no cost. I do want to clarify, though, I said at no cost, but there is a fee that we'll need to absorb should we ever reach arbitration related to compliance with the Consolidated Appropriations Act, related to our ASA. There is a $50 fee that we, McLennan County, would need to pay the independent arbiter if we were to get to an arbitration point. So that would be the only cost associated with this amendment. Again, this is just an amendment to our administrative service agreement for our McLennan County Health Plan that United Healthcare is just outlining for us and adding compliance support for this year.
Dustin, have you reviewed this?
Yes, sir, Judge, and Randy has as well.
Okay. Okay. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve H7.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, pass. Thank you.
H8 is authorization of merchant processing agreement, application and fee schedule, and location addendum with Automated Merchant Systems, AMS, a registered service provider of Merrick Bank Corporation. Back in March, we had approved an agreement with Tyler Technologies for the county clerk's office. AMS is the merchant services provider for the credit card purchases that the public can make to record copies using the Tyler web portal. There's no cost to the county for this, and all the fees are paid by the card user. And Mike Dixon, Bill Helton, Andy Harwell, and Steve Callis have all reviewed this, and we recommend it be approved.
Okay, any questions anyone have?
Motion to approve H8.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose, pass.
Under item I, capital improvement and repair and maintenance projects, I1s regarding the Mart Water Project street repair, agreement with the city of Mart, authorization of third and final payment request. Judge, I believe we need to defer this again. The engineer's office had looked, and that additional work still needs to be completed.
Yeah, it's scheduled but not completed, and they're no, they understand that they won't be paid till it's completed and we make a inspection of it. So I make a motion, we defer.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those pass.
Under I2s regarding McLennan County Line Road South Creek Crossing Improvements, bid 21-020, construction agreement with LC Paving and Construction, authorization of invoice for payment number 1. Zane?
Yes, sir. This is the invoice for the Low Water Creek Crossing project out in Precinct 3 on County Line Road South. and it's been reviewed and is recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
I3 regarding capital improvement projects for the Cameron Park Zoo, agreement with City of Waco, authorization of invoice number 20263 for the Education Center and Veterinary Hospital. Francis?
Yes, so this is just the next invoice to reimburse the city of Waco for the work that's been completed on the education and vet complex. The backup, the invoices that the city has paid has been reviewed by our office and falls within the budget that you had originally accepted.
The zoo bond money?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Zoo
sir.
bond.
It's
Okay.
off the zoo bond. All right, any questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item K, grants, K1 is our ARPA discussion, and Judge Tom Ray is driving to El Paso, but he is available by phone, but I know we do not have a full court, so we can hold this for right now, and if there's if y'all would like to hear from Tom on just kind of an update on the water discussion, we can do that in a little bit if that's okay.
What does the court want to do?
I'm fine today.
I'd like to hear from Tom on what the scenery's like out in Midland and Odessa. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine.
Yeah, I think any questions I have can wait till we have a full court to discuss.
Okay, that'd be fine, and it's something that I prefer the whole court to be here if possible.
Yeah.
So we'll defer that item.
You need a motion?
No, sir, it's just on our update, and then same for TSTC. We in communication with BKD, just seeing what additional information they need, so we don't need to take any action on K1A1 either. On K1B, we do have a invoice that's regarding the professional consulting contract with Lockwood, Andrews, and Newnham Incorporated, authorization of professional service invoice. And this is an authorization of an invoice from Lynn totaling $3,497.08, and this is for their ARPA services through February 4th.
Okay, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under K2, this is regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law. I think the only update we would have today, Ken has been working on a RFQ or an RFP to seek grant administration services that could help us with this. And I think it's getting pretty close to being ready. Is that correct, Ken?
Yes, sir, it is. I'll try to have it on next court agenda.
So no actions needed there today, Judge.
Hey, Dustin, I would make one comment. I think today's paper, was it today's paper? Yes, I remember that. I think the president has signed some sort of order regarding the infrastructure that all materials would be U.S. made. Have you seen that in the?
I have not, but we will look for it.
And I guess my other question, Ken, in that grant proposal or a grant writer, are we looking at somebody who would, what they would be paid would be a percentage of the grant, actual grant approved?
I kind of have it written both ways.
Okay.
I mean,
Flat amount and percent of grant?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on to item K3 regarding the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services Title IV-E grant contract for legal services, authorization of Title IV-E legal assistance claim for the quarter ending September 30th, 2021. Francis?
Yes, K3 is the, like you said, the quarter ending September 30th, 2021. The amount's $43,740.31 that we will receive to recoup cost for legal assistance related to Title IV-E clients. And then I can go ahead and cover K4, A through D. Those are for those are the Title IV-E expenses that are related to the child welfare services. For Title IV-E clients. There's 4 quarters listed there. A, $406.46, B, $1,095.95, C, $54.50, and D, $99.10. And then again, those are reimbursements that we will be receiving.
Okay, Any questions anyone have? What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve, for, that'd be K3 through K4D, is that right, Francis?
Yes, sir.
K4A through
K4D.
K4D. Okay.
Second that.
All right. Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
K5 is regarding the Bureau of Reclamation Water Smart Grant, short form of agreement with LAN. It's authorization of professional service invoice number 4. This invoice totals $21,828.75, and this is related to the Water Smart Grant.
All right, any questions? No questions. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
K6 is regarding the U.S. Department of Treasury Emergency Rental Assistance Programs. K6A is recording of Economic Opportunities Advancement Corporation reports, and K6B is an update on the ERA program funding. Francis?
Yes, under K6A, you'll find reports from March from EOAC that show the amounts paid out and the clients served under both ERA 1 and ERA 2, as far as an update goes. And then under K6B, we just wanted to give you an update on ERA funding. Just to kind of remind you, walk back through ERA 1, we were awarded a total amount of right under $7.8 million. We received all of that upfront. We have, of course, been tracking along. The entities that we had contracted with, City of Waco and EOAC, have been moving applicants as quickly as they can, but there were benchmarks that the Treasury was looking at along the way. Based on those benchmarks, we had to refunded $1.4 million. It's $1,391,450 back to the Treasury. The ERA 1 grant just goes through the end of September this year. So they were looking at what they anticipated we would need, and that's what they decided to pull. EOAC is sitting on funds currently from ERA 1, so they'll continue to be able to process through, I believe, the end of May, just based on their estimates. But even after the refund back to the Treasury, we'll be sitting on right under $231,000 remaining. And I know they'll be able to find a use for that.
And an additional draw from ERA 2, right? Aren't we?
Correct. So ERA 2, total grant award was just right over $6.1 million. That one is moving along. We had only received 40% upfront. We requested to get the remaining funds, and they have given us another 30%. So we're in the middle of receiving those funds in, and then EOAC is prepared to take those and move those out to clients as quickly as they can.
Okay, any questions? All right. No questions. I'll make a motion to approve K6A and K6B.
Second.
Have a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
Under item L, Department and Office Specific Requests, L1 and L2 are both authorization of cybersecurity training exemption request forms. L1 is for Road and Bridge Precinct 2, and those employees are listed in your packet, and the same for L2, which is Road and Bridge Precinct 4. I don't know, Commissioner Perry, did you want to add anything?
No, just a reminder that I believe this is anyone that uses less than 25% of their responsibilities.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And these guys obviously are nowhere near that. So I'd make a motion to approve L1 and L2.
Second.
All right, I have motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L3 is Tax Assessor Collector authorizations regarding designation of McLennan County homestead exemptions for the 2022 tax roll. McCAD, as they do annually, has reached out to the tax assessor, just checking on our status, and we approved this back in September of 2021 at the county homestead at 20% with the 5,000 minimum, and county 65 and over or disabled homestead at 20% plus the additional 35,000.
All right, any questions or comments on that?
This is just implementing the same percentages as previous, correct?
Yes, sir. It's just basically reporting to McKay what we approved previously.
All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
L4, juvenile detention, authorizations regarding the purchase of social media advertising, use of county credit card, and related matters. Anna?
Yes, sir. We have here a request from Juvenile Services to use the county credit card to purchase job advertisements through Facebook. We just recently had this very similar request with the sheriff's office. HR saw the results of that Facebook advertisement, and so now we want to, which were good. So we want to go ahead and use that for Juvenile Services, who's also been experiencing a shortage of job applicants. So this request consists of the ability to use Juvenile Services Facebook page to publish recruitment ads and the ability to purchase the advertisement using the county credit card.
Okay, and the credit card's really the only way you can access that, right? I mean, you can.
That's correct, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any questions about that? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve L4.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L5, purchasing, authorization of online auction with Renee Bates, related ad, and order declaring certain property as surplus and authorizing the disposition of same. Ken?
Yes, we've pulled together another auction. We have about 30 lots ready to go. If the court approves, the auction will be is scheduled to begin on April 29th and close on May 13th. And again, it's a list you can read through. So.
Okay. And this is a lot of that stuff that's out at Cobb's that Gary's been sorting through.
Yeah, and I will tell you that a lot of that stuff has been taken care of.
Okay, good. Yeah, a lot of it was.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
we had help from maintenance.
Yeah, good. Glad to cleaning that up. All right, any other questions about that? Not, is there a motion to approve that request?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
L6, information technology, discussion and/or action regarding Veeam backup and recovery solution licensing renewal and related quote from CDWG. Lisa?
Yes, thank you, Dustin. Make sure my speaker, yes, you could hear me. Okay, so this request is for an early license renewal. Our current 3-year term actually expires in December of this year. But with the coming changes that we had with the VxRail and the licensing for managing those backups, we reached out to the vendor to coordinate those licensing changes and learned that they are moving away from the current license model to a universal licensing. There's a promotion at this time that would benefit the county in cost to go ahead and renew now, as well as secure us a 10% discount for other renewals in perpetuity. So we are coming to court. This is not something that was budgeted for in the FY22 budget, but I do have funds available from other renewals that didn't, cost the, I had some excess funds from surplus in those renewals. So I can't cover the.
If approved, we'd just do a transfer.
I don't even think I have to transfer inside the this fund. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to Francis. Yeah, I understand now. Thank you.
Okay, I do have funds in the appropriate fund balance or fund account to cover this. The cost for this renewal would be, let's look here, $3,561.71. With the discounts, and if we kept the current license count, that anticipated renewal for the following budget year would be $2,750.
Okay.
And as an example, we were currently paying in this 3-year term $4,386.67 annually. So you can see this change is a substantial savings for us. To secure that discount in the future, I think this would be a good move for us to take.
Okay. Questions? Any questions?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
L7, Archives Records Management, discussion and action regarding physical document management system renewal and related quote from Gimmel System Solutions. Lisa.
Yes. So this was an interesting change that caught us unexpectedly this year. The InfoLinks records management system that we're using in the archives department, we've been on this product a little over a year, I think almost 2 years now, and it's been a great product, but it was bought out by another company called Gimmel, and they have informed us that they are moving this particular product end of life and had reached out for us to plan migration to their new application that would be a cloud-based solution. So we entered into discussion regarding that and were met with some pricing that we weren't expecting and that we found to be kind of high. So I've noted here in the memo, initially this we were approached with a $30,000 expense to migrate the data from the system into the new one. The annual costs that we normally pay for licensing has been budgeted at $6,380, would now be under the new system would go up to $18,750. The licensing model had changed there. Their very bottom licensing group was up to 50 licenses, which is more than we actually need. So given the cost of this, we felt that it would be prudent to look at other solutions if we were going to have to migrate anyway. You know, what other products might be a good fit for us and be cost effective as well. So rather than proceed with this migration, I'm recommending the court that we go ahead and renew with the InfoLinks product. They are giving us that option to stay on the system. It will cost us a 7% increase, which will now be, let me find that amount, $6,826.60. But I think that would, give us adequate time to look at other solutions and determine the best course of action. They did offer, to be transparent, they did offer some discounts to encourage us to migrate now, but I don't think the cost savings for that discount offsets, looking for the value in looking for another product. I was also able to, work on adjusting the initial proposals, was able to get them to bring that cost down. But as I said, I think, between the archives manager and myself, we feel like that we should look for other products. So that is my request to the court to allow us to renew with the old product, knowing that it is going to be an unsupported system going forward for the next year. We hope to have another selection or product recommendation during the FY23 budget hearing. So we'll have hopefully some direction and can budget accordingly for that.
Okay.
We have looked at another product that looks very promising. It may cost a little more on the upfront end to migrate, but I think the long-term costs to pay licensing going forward may be a good savings. I would also like to look at their e-record management options. That is something we may want to consider in the future. So knowing what that platform looks like and what those costs are, all may make a difference in those considerations.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Lisa?
You'll be able to live with the limited support on the current system then?
Yes, sir. And I don't really feel like that will be a problem. Although we've been working with this system right now, the office is really just building up the case file index. The departments aren't utilizing this at the moment. So we are just building up that database with all the index records. And at any point, regardless what direction we go, we can export that data and import it into the next system. So there is no loss of, all the work that's been invested in that. We will not lose it. It should be an easy transition. So I feel okay about that. The product, cannot be enhanced or any such thing, but I don't feel like we have that need. The product works exactly as we need it to for our purposes at this time.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
My motion would be to approve the recommendation of the IT director.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Under item M1, this is discussion under action on matters regarding COVID-19. Elizabeth does not have an update today. Moving on to M2, authorization of social media account requests. Lisa?
Sorry about that. I didn't know we were moving there so
Alright.
fast. Excuse me. Yes, I have got another request here from various offices. We have Constable Precinct 5, Adult Probation, Veteran Services, the District Clerk's Office, the Tax Office, and Human Resources. They've all come forward with their social media accounts and are asking to be recognized as official county pages so that we may attach them to the social media archiving tool that we've recently introduced. One area I would like to note in Human Resources, their account request is for a Facebook account that they will use immediately, but they are also asking for approval on all platforms at some point in the future.
Lisa, just a moment. It's actually our LinkedIn page.
Oh, I apologize. Did I get those
Okay.
mixed up? Okay. So there's a correction there. So they will use the LinkedIn right away, and then other platforms may come in the future. Is that right, Anna?
That's correct.
So
Okay.
noted.
Thank you for that correction.
Any questions anyone have?
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion, we approve M2.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Judge, I would like to mention one more thing I forgot to say. We have reached out and have communicated with all the offices that identified themselves as having accounts. So at this time, I think this will meet that need that's been expressed. So, I don't believe I'll have any more coming forward from the list that was provided from the poll that we did.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, Dustin.
All right, M3, selection designation of public members of the Salary Grievance Committee. No actions needed at this time. Under M4, authorization of appointment to the McLennan County Children's Protective Services Board. This would be an item to appoint Faye Stewart to the board. Faye was a CPS employee and will be very beneficial to the board. And I know your packet says we're waiting on documentation. We got the letter this morning. So if the court's okay with moving forward, we would recommend it.
Okay. All right, any questions? Is there a motion to approve that recommendation?
What is the name?
Faye Stewart.
Faye Stewart.
All right, move to approve Faye Stewart appointment to the McLean County Children's Protective Services Board.
Second.
All right, have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Pass.
M5's authorization of refund requests for overpayment of real estate taxes. Tax office has submitted this list. Just as a quick reminder, if the tax assessor finds them to be that the taxes were excessive and incorrect and they were over $2,500, it then has to come to the commissioner's court for approval, and that is the list you have in your packet.
Okay. All right, any questions? It's something we do each year. No questions? Is there a motion to approve M5?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
All right, M6, discussion and/or action regarding designation of flex space. You'll see some drawings in your packet. These are moves that will help us as we shuffle, bringing Judge Coley downtown and moving the mental health court over to the first floor of the annex, allow us to do things quickly. There's an old grant office located next to Judge's office on the second floor of the courthouse. We'd like to designate that area as flex space. Outside the visiting courtroom, there's an administration office that has been used by the district clerk's office. We'd like to designate that as flex space. And then on the third floor, there is a ice machine and storage space as you go across the walkway to the annex office. And when we found the new home for Judge Minkowski and Marcus on the third floor of the courthouse, it forced adult probation to relocate. They had been using those areas as kind of just a spot to gather paperwork and sign people up. And this will give them a space that they can use for the time being.
Okay. All right, and, actually, in definition, flex space is space that's not assigned to a court or another office that is under the control of the Commissioner's Court. And I think over the next several years, that's gonna be important as we shuffle people around trying to fit them into the new space, any new space and utilization of the older space. So it's clear that who is responsible for those areas. Any questions on that? Does that need action?
It does, Judge.
Okay.
So it's M6A is regarding the old grant office, M6B is regarding the visiting courtroom administration office, and M6C is regarding the ice machine storage space on the third floor of the courthouse.
Okay, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve those designated spots as flex space?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under item N, Americans with Disabilities Compliance Project, N1 is authorization of professional services invoice with CPNY. It's their ADA study report for the month of March, and it totals $813.50.
Okay, any questions? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, pass.
03 is discussion and/or action on franchise utility relocation package, determination of source of funds for this expense, including American Rescue Plan Act and related matters. Ken, did you want to give an overview of this? That I know Mike would like to add some info as well.
Sure. Again, we've been working with Walker Partners on the utilities that are out there around the Paul Tyson Field to have those removed before we start a formal demolition of the site, so we don't cut people's electricity off or their water or their telephones. So I think the water's been taken care of, if I understand correctly. We're still working on electricity and AT&T. I just want to read off the AT&T. We are going to pay a deposit of $500. That's just a deposit, so that we don't know what the final amount will be for the whatever AT&T needs to do with their lines, but it's our start to get that initiated. And then on Encore, estimated amount is $37,259.42, and that takes in demolition service to the former golf range that is off to the, actually kind of across the road from Paul Tyson and around the Paul Tyson Field. And the survey fees for easements, easement exhibits and field notes for Encore, we will initiate or have a fee of $2,500 to form those surveys. I just want to let, again, this is part of the venue project. It's moving forward, trying to get to the demolition part of the overall scope of work. And again, there's more discussion to be held on that, and that may be what Mike wants to talk about at this time. Oh,
Mike,
Yeah.
can you hear us?
Yes, yes, this is, just part of the process of getting that area ready for our future plans for the barns and equestrian stuff and all that. The costs are pretty much in line with what you'd expect for such a large change. We will come back next meeting with an addendum to our construction manager at risk agreement with Irwin for the demolition project itself. And that will happen, whenever we can get everything squared away with the utilities. The use of ARPA money, we'll have to use it out of the revenue, the lost revenue, 10 million, because this is considered a general government service. I don't know what other sections it would fit under, but I know it would fit under that.
Okay. All right, any questions anyone would have?
So the cost of this wouldn't be covered under the bond, from the venue project?
No, it would not, because we have already used the bond proceeds. We had a older estimate that and then prices shot up. So we are what we had estimated it would take for the whole project. It did not get as far as we thought.
One thing, Commissioner, we calculated lost revenue. There was $1,600,000 that we could pull for any reason to use as we see fit. I believe 600,000 of that, or maybe 500,000 of that, was due to lost revenue from the venue. And so it seems to me to make sense to put that money back and use it in the venue, because we wouldn't have had it otherwise.
Right, and part of our funding that we were expecting for the project to supplement the project estimate was supposed to be hotel motel revenues, and that we had in a surplus over the debt payments. And of course, COVID knocked that out. So that was another problem with the whole overarching funding. And so that left us short in that regard too.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment? I'll just say, so it's a valid, we've looked at it and know that it is a valid eligible expense under that portion of lost revenue for ARPA. I think you're saying it is a venue project expense, but, there was definitely a loss of revenue the last couple of years in the venue project. And so just to free up some of those venue project construction funds for other upcoming things, this could technically come from that grant if that's what you choose to do.
But there's no money left in the venue bond itself? That money you were talking about being transferred over today?
Bond proceeds were spent down, the original bond proceeds for the first project, the base. But then, there is some fund balance there, but I guess, plans for further projects are of course in the pipeline. Our contracts with the city and the school district as well.
Sure, with Cal, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Judge Felton?
Aye.
Commissioner Perry?
Aye.
Pass.
And Judge, I believe that's all the action items we can get to, take care of today. We have the department head reviews tomorrow afternoon, and I know you wanted to go into executive session today.
I do. Thank you. I'd like to go into executive session under 551.089 on economic development. And I'd like for Francis, Dustin, Chris Collins, and Mike Dixon to stay in the meeting.
And Judge, it's actually .087. I think you had said 089.
It is 087. Sorry about that. And it is 11:49. Thank you. Okay, we're going into executive session.
It's for that tax abatement amendment.
Okay.
Agreement amendment.
Are there more?
Recording stopped.
Oh, no, that's it.
That's it, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
You to sign this, and then I'll get the judge to sign it upstairs.
Thank you.
That thing they did, all that good stuff. It can be. More flexible, of course, during the summer.
start the budget process?
So,
June. what is
July
it?
5th is the Tuesday. I
Yeah,
hate that that's.
summer.
Recording in progress.
But, July 5th is when we'll hit it really heavy.
Okay, it is 12:15. Call court back into session. Anything else to come before the court? Dustin, is there anything we haven't?
Judge,
taken care
just
of?
remember to recess and we'll pick back up at 1:30 tomorrow.
Okay, if nothing else, we will recess and pick up at 1:30 tomorrow.